This is the book of Mark, chapter 3, beginning at verse 24, and it reads, And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but have an end. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to God, Loyim La Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rachakadosh Barakatah. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning, Lord willingly. This is an edifying lesson. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the other nations that appear like the other nations, but subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. This is the brother Yahweh Sop out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant. I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. And the Spirit led me to this article, and I had seen it, and like kind of looked past it, and then I just seen it again. I was actually going to do a lesson on something totally different. As far as the retail apocalypse, you got a lot of retail companies that's laying off. So I had an article on that. I was going to do that on that. But then the Spirit hit me because I was just thinking about, when you really read the headline and think about what they're saying, basically, this place is divided. And, it's scriptures that go into that, like I just read in Mark, it said, if Satan be divided against Satan, his kingdom cannot stand. So if you got these Edomites divided, which they are, you got this government system divided. Although they work hand in hand, to give the people, the illusion of some kind of choice, or that they got to say so, when in actuality, both parties work in unison, to basically accomplish certain objectives, to bring to fruition the goals of these elites. Just like, for instance, how the elites fund both sides of a war. You know what I mean? In the end, they make all the money regardless because they funded both sides. So, their purpose is getting met. We was talking about that at the, we had a inside camp, basically. We did like a live instead of being out on the highways and hedges because of that Arctic blast or Arctic bomb, or I forgot exactly the phrase, but as far as that basically that storm that has been plaguing the country. Not to digress, but because I know a few camps in certain places had to do lessons inside the house because it just was too cold, to the point where you have had a lot of people basically die because the weather has gotten so cold. And that's the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. I think it's a scripture in the book of Job, chapter 37, that goes into how the Most High brings the wind. And that wind, they talk about the wind chill factor is so cold, and it's funny too, because we was just talking about that, showing you what type of base man Esau is, because you still got people in conditions, they were made to go out and work in this shit. You got like the post office workers, the mail carriers. You would think, the brother was telling me how he was still seeing the mail carriers carrying mail, or how you had, and then it's funny because they just put up the thing talking about they gonna be off tomorrow though, but they made it work the other day though. You know what I mean? Or how they made the Browns play today. You know what I mean? So that's the spirit Esau coming in. Like, he don't give a fuck. He gonna make you literally like work to live. You about to really see the horns of this devil. But I'm gonna bring out a little bit of this article because, again, it just, when you really pay attention and really grasp what's being said, it's a division. So it says, I don't even know why I say weather, but because of the fact of how cold the weather was, and it's just also showing you how the American dream is dead. At one point in time, America was that place that gold nugget that everybody was trying to grasp or trying to get their little piece of the pie. It was the golden pie, and everybody thought they would be able to get a slice of it. And that's why so many people try to break their neck to get here. But come to reality, I think it was a video of, it was a Jamaican female, and she was saying basically how this place is a illusion and really it's a plantation. You know, and that's with anything. You know what I mean? Like they say, the grass is greener on the other side, but is it really? So the title reads: Buses of migrants dropped outside Kamala Harris's home in freezing temperatures on Christmas Eve, reports say. And it reads: busloads of migrants were dropped outside Vice President Kamala Harris's residence on Saturday. Multiple outlets reported they wore inadequate winter clothing and freezing temperatures. Republican governors previously sent migrants to Democratic cities to protest Biden's immigration policy. So this is basically a jab. Basically the Democrats did pass the law with the immigration allowing, you know, I'm not completely up on exactly, the whole immigration policy, but I remember you just had that governor of Texas basically talking about he needed to call the National Guard in, and basically trying to say it was like, like somewhat like an invasion of all these immigrants. So basically you got the state governors, and it was either, I think it was either a senator or governor, but you got these governors that's basically feeling some kind of way towards the Biden administration. So basically they're at odds. It's basically Egyptian versus Egyptian, Isaiah chapter 19. So their way of making a statement is to put all these people, these immigrants, on a bus and send them into and that had to be if this is true, that had to be like, and I can see it being true though, you know what I mean? Like, because you got to remember, people ain't really giving a fuck about these people. It says several busloads of migrants were dropped off outside Vice President Kamala Harris's home in Washington, D.C. on Saturday evening in freezing temperatures, according to multiple reports. The migrants were brought to the Naval Observatory where Harris lives from Texas. Some of the people were wearing inadequate clothing such as T-shirts and sweatshirts during extreme winter weather conditions that saw temperatures drop to 18 degrees Fahrenheit in D.C., according to CNN. The Migrant Solidarity Mutual Aid Network told 7 News that it took 3 busloads of migrants to shelter in a church and provided them with warm food and clothes. And now basically the statement is, now you figure out what the fuck to do with these people. A video shared by 7 News DC reporter Christian Flores on Twitter showed a group of people entering a bus. The third and final bus of migrants of the night of migrant buses up to DC from Texas arriving with migrant solidarity mutual aid network taking them to a church. Read the tweet. And this is a video of it. I don't want to play because I ain't gonna do the Fair Use Act. But as you can see from the picture, they got blankets on and they walking and getting on the bus. This is a welcome effort that we've been doing since the first. This is a welcome effort that we've been doing since the first bus arrived. Amy Fisher, an organizer with the network, told 7 News. DC just continues to show up as a welcoming city that is always ready and willing to open their. Well, if that was the case, why wasn't they already there? Why did they have to be bus loaded there? You know what I mean? And it just made me think, because like I said again, and the sad part is, more than likely these probably like Issachar rights, or it's probably Jake for real. And the scriptures talk about, they run into Egypt for help, not realizing that this is the place you're not gonna want to be when this place is judged. The scriptures talk about that the nation's gonna shoot missiles onto this place. It talks about the results of how much damage and how much destruction is gonna come to this place. Is nobody will ever dwell here again, because this place is the most sinful place on the planet. It tells you in the scriptures that the sins of this place have reached onto heaven. And you got to understand, with a lot of the blasphemous statements and ideologies, they come from here. When you go into like the same-sex marriage, that was pushed here. I'll never forget when I first seen that taking place. And it was a Muslim guy, and he literally was up there. He was offended. Like, we're not saying, because you got, as heathenistic, them Hamites are, it's a lot of places in Africa that don't condone homosexuality. But I don't know what's wrong with my thing. Oh, there we go. So I was gonna get because I was talking about the running down to Egypt for health, and that's gonna be to your detriment. When you go into the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, it talks about it reads Isaiah chapter 30, beginning at verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Verse 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Because at the end that you go up to some people, these people, people gonna have a what? Brothers were sitting up there talking about how you got people literally busting their neck and breaking their neck for this pagan ass holiday, putting themselves in debt, stressed out trying to get everybody's gifts when you ain't even got enough money nowadays because of the inflation to barely adequately feed yourselves. I mean, you got people that's making a lot more money than a lot of the brethren and whatnot, but because they living beyond their means are struggling. You got people that's making six figures that's struggling right now. And that's going to be, like I said again, why would you, you got people, a lot of people go into debt around Christmas time because they expecting to get that income tax. But what happens when, you go expect to get that income tax and that bitch don't come? You really think the government hired hundreds of tax collectors? What do you think? I mean, and then they already making it known, refunds from the prior years is not going to be like that this year. So people that's used to getting 10 bands because of, how they changed the tax code, all that is out of desperation. You got to understand it, though. Do you understand for them to just print money the way that they printed it the last 2 years, that was out of desperation? So again, all these people that's trusting in Egypt, that's going to be to your detriment, because at the end of the day, Egypt is spiraling down the drain. You know what I mean? They were just talking about how basically they tried to pass the budget of 1.7 billion, or was it 1.7 trillion? I can't recall, but I think it was 1.7 trillion. And basically, it was talking about majority of that money was for the military, which majority of, the budget that's passed in this country, majority of the money goes to the military, the military industrial complex. But the video I was watching, I forgot who did the video. They basically didn't pass it, but I'm sure I think it was the elder Mwatazak from L.A. I think of course they're gonna pass it, eventually. But you got certain senators and. Basically, it was three key people that tried to pass this bill, and one of them was Nancy Pelosi. Now, what's funny about that is this bitch is literally she stepped down. And then when you go into the bill, they basically how they did the bill. Nobody got a chance to really read what was in the bill. It's 4,000 pages, and the day before they trying to vote on it, they try to sneak it in there. Again, not to digress, but like I said, again, you had these people trying to come here thinking they're going to get a better life. And that just shows you the conditions in other places if you run into America to try to get a better life. But again, if the Lord allows you to get over here, it's because more than likely either for your salvation or your destruction. I got another scripture, the book of Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 1. And it reads, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Verse 2, yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil. Who was that talking about? Let's talk about the Lord. It said, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Verse 2, yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will rise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Verse 3, now the Egyptians are men and are not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they shall all fail together. You know, and that makes me think about Jeremiah chapter 17, when it talks about cursed be the man that trusteth in man. You know, but it tells you 2 verses down, it tells you, I think that's Jeremiah 17 and verse 5, but 2 verses down it says, but blessed is the man that trusteth in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. The thing is, this devil basically, you know, to show you how deadly this devil is too, based on how he did the whole little pandemic and, you know, locked everything down, you had a lot of people lose, you know, their faith. You know, you had a lot of people, you know, around that time, a lot of our people that was in the church basically left the church, especially our women. You had a lot of our women going to like witchcraft and all kind of shit. So in actuality, this man, he don't, you know, it's an issue for us to believe. And we live in a place called America where you can believe and worship whatever the fuck you want. But it's an issue when we say we the people of the Bible. That's how you know this is the truth. You know what I mean? We could be anything else, right? Well, when you call yourself the people, just like you got the fake people calling themselves the people of the Bible, but we say, well, okay, well, show us through the scriptures. No, they gotta show you through the what's that? ADL, Anti-Defamation League. Basically, if you say something that, which by the way, is supposed to be for all, you know, nations and whatnot, anybody that's basically being slandered, but it really just pretty much helps Esau eat them. You know what I mean? But basically, if you say something that is offensive to these particular people, then they could basically cancel you. They could basically take away your wealth. If they could take away your wealth, it was never yours in the beginning. That should make people really think about the way the world is for real. That should be like a reality check or a bursting of your bubble. If Kanye was a billionaire one day and then 2 days later, he ain't. You know what I mean? Like they talk about this dude, oh, all this money, all these people, you know what I mean? And that's just showing you how they use their medium, which is their media, you know, they witchcraft to literally play with the minds of the people. And people that's trusting in this devil is going to be, you know, and that's going to be one of the reasons why people go, you know, these nations going to basically turn on this place. You know, they trusted in this place and then find out that, you know what I mean, it's to their detriment. You're like, I'm going to go back in the article a little bit. It says, this is a welcome, I read that part. While it is not clear who sent the buses, several Republican governors, including Texas governor, that's the governor, Governor Greg Abbott, have previously sent migrants to Democratic cities like Washington, D.C. and New York to protest Joe Biden's immigration policies. In September, Abbott said that his state has sent 2 buses of migrants to the vice president's home in Washington. Fisher told 7 News that she believed the Christmas Eve drop-off was a political stunt by Abbott. No, that was a statement. That's hilarious. And then what you gonna do? Now, this is the same woman, Kamala Harris, she don't give a fuck about them people. See, Jake's so simple. Jake just literally sitting up there because she looked like us, therefore she's part of us. But that bitch don't relate to you in no kind of way, just like Obama didn't. You know what I mean? I mean, they said Obama was so shrewd when he went to Detroit and making jokes about the water and all that old shit. You know, that woman married to a fucking Edomite. That woman literally is not even black. She's an Elamite. She's an East Indian. Go look that shit up. And for Jake to be supposed to be a spiritual people, because you got to understand how spiritual of a people we are. We went through slavery, literally hoping and hope. And that's what got us through that. That's what got you through it. You know what I mean? You know, them old Negro spirituals actually speak on what we speak on today as far as the truth. Swing low, sweet chariot, and you know what I mean? Like, anyhow, it'd be kind of frustrating because, you know, but you shouldn't even get frustrated because if you understand the scriptures literally tell you that 2/3 was going to be blinded and ain't going to get it. Wait till they really literally start trying to persecute. You know, wait till this second lockdown come. And this lockdown, it ain't going to be no lifting or nothing. Says really does show the cruelty behind Governor Abbott and his insistence on continuing to bus people here without care about people arriving late at night on Christmas Eve when the weather is so cold. People are getting off the buses. They don't have coats. They don't have clothes for this kind of weather, and they're freezing, she said. And, you know, scriptures talk about, what's that scripture in the Apocrypha? It talks about, who can he be good to whom is evil to himself? Let me find it real quick. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 14. I'm going to start at verse 4. Point is verse 5. And it reads, he that gathereth by defrauding his own soul gathereth for others that shall spend his goods riotously. I should have just went to the point. I misread that. Thought that said something else. It says, verse 5, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. You know, so if you evil to your own people, you the other nations damn sure don't got nothing. And then you got to understand this man has a perpetual hatred towards Jake. Why do you think literally how can a situation where they talk about a whole virus came from Wuhan, dealing with these Moabites who you ignorantly call the Chinese, that literally turned into something that is more susceptible to niggas and Puerto Ricans and Mexicans? It started with these people, but it's just because we supposed to be the weakest people. And when you go into really like, you know, when you go into like basically science and whatnot, when you go into like, that's not true. Like how they try to say our so-called black, we the strongest of any fucking thing because most people couldn't have survived the ride on the ships from, you know, from over in Africa to the Americas. You know, and you understand that voyage and being chained up and living in your own feces and, you know, when you go into basically the eye color, like blue eyes, that's actually like what's the word? I forgot what it's called, but basically like basically those eyes aren't as strong as like a deficiency. It's like those eyes aren't as strong as a person with brown eyes. That's fact. Just like with nature, everything that's literally like albino is looked at as different. That's why you don't see too many albino anything. It's considered rare. The only thing you see albino that's actually is ruling the world, and it tells you the scriptures why that is. You know what I mean? So anyway, I mean, I only would have got that scripture because of the fact the stupid ass statement this person made. You know, that Greg Abbott, that governor is an Edomite. That motherfucker don't give a fuck about Jake. You know, when it come time to solidify his moves and what he got going, yeah, but you know, for the most part, he don't give a fuck about Jake, and he showed you that by busting their ass up on Christmas Eve and sending them. But at the same time, what Kamala Harris gonna do? I mean, if you go look up some of the shit she said, she don't give a fuck. That woman's married to an Edomite. She don't even relate to regular Jake. She was saying, and to show you how simple they think Jake is, she did the whole Bill Clinton thing. Oh yeah, I smoked some weed. You know what I mean? And then that made people think, oh, she cool, like stupid ass nigga. Go look up, like, this the same woman that got you locked. She was helping get niggas locked up, though. You know what I mean? Like, Salakia, man. So, I'm going to get this in the book of Matthew. This is Matthew chapter 12. And this is Yahushua, verse 25. And it reads, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? So if you got these different governors basically bumping heads against the administration of the land, against the federal government, how is this place going to stand? And that's a sure sign of a Salakia, a sure sign of this place going down. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 18, I'm getting at verse 1, and it reads, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And, that's going into basically when this place is completely destroyed. But, and it's funny, too, because like I said, you got to understand, right now, America is on the spotlight. All these different countries, people watching what's going on here. I mean, people don't realize it, but that's what's like with a lot of people looking at the shame of the situation with the George Floyd thing. I mean, I ain't going to say that was judgment. Scriptures tell you that wicked man do not understand judgment. That man died on camera for whatever the reason. The Most High required his soul. But nonetheless, that's embarrassing to your people, your police force, and these other countries been seeing how Jake been being treated. That's why scriptures talk about how Judah who gonna rouse Judah up, roughly paraphrase. When Judah, they take off, everybody else gonna take off. It reads, verse 3, for all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. And, you got people that break that down wrong, because in the actuality, like, majority of Jake, especially now with this inflation, Jake don't got it like that for real. So how Jake barely surviving now? Like how Jake gonna really muster up money to get a passport or go move to another country? No, it means come out of the ways of this place. The philosophies, the do as thou wilt, and come back to the law, statutes, commandments of your power. Again, like I said, it's not a coincidence that they didn't care when a nigga was everything, but when you say or call yourself having a connection to the Bible in the proper context at that, then it's an issue. And it's funny because like I said, these are the same fucking people that had the slave Bible, where the Bible tells you it's a punishment for taking from or adding to the Bible. These people literally did that. How the fuck is these the people? Verse 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. So all the atrocities these devils have done to get this place, to establish their rulership and their control of the earth, is going to be done to them twofold. So when we say about how the scriptures tell you in the book of Revelations, those that kill with the sword shall be killed with the sword, because the Lord is a power of balance. That's why Yahweh Shah said what he said. He said, those that live by the sword shall die by the sword. What's so off about that? You know what I mean? Like, for real. You know, and that's just show you the slickness of the devil. But for those that's actually in this truth, that got the spiritual eye salve, it tells you that no enchantment works on Jacob. So, you know, we not blinded or caught up in the enchantment that this devil has on majority of the world. You know, you got a majority of the world that literally is under a spell thinking that, you know, come on. The conditions of the world have always been, especially when you ain't had a lot of money. But at one point in time, you could survive in this place without having a lot of money. It's bad when you got people that literally have, but that's the balance too, though, because you know what I mean. This is a time where you're supposed to learn to operate off less. You know, I remember the elder Amawan Gabar did a video about that, and he was reading comments. And it was a comment, it sounded like from an Edomite, because I've only heard Edomites talk about, what's that say? How is it? It's a saying that Esau say. It say, something up, buttercup. Toughen up, buttercup, or something like that. Because it's about to be a bumpy ride. But basically that was the statement. He said, because basically, you know, people seeing all this and they not consuming less, they actually consuming more. If you seeing it's hard to get food, why would the fuck would you be eating? You know what I mean? Like, you ain't gonna die. You know, I just watched, not to digress, I just watched something that Mark Wahlberg, and I don't even like that fucking guy, but it was something that I did look at and I was like, damn, I had to give him a nod. You know what I mean? The dude, he does intermediate fasting each day. So he goes without eating for like 18 hours a day. And then he eats. And he works out heavy. You know what I'm saying? But just something simple like that, you know what I mean? Like, instead of eating 13 times a day, just eating one fucking meal. You know how much you will save? Or if a person really went to the grocery stores, some of these young dumbass women that's getting all these fucking food stuff, if they just went to the meat market instead of going to, you know what I mean, going to the corner store and buying $100 worth of fucking junk. So just imagine how through this place gonna be when the government can't fit the bill to keep feeding all you. Because you got to understand, in order for the government to spend, they got to actually tax. But if they ain't got nothing to tax, how the fuck they gonna spend? How they gonna continue the food stamp programs and all these different things? And when you go into the food stamp program, that wasn't even started for niggas. That was started for the fucking hunky. Go look that up. That wasn't started for you. And that proved the scripture about how the Most High go take care, you know what I mean? You gonna have to go to your enemy for the one of all things just to fucking eat. We gotta go to this fucking devil to get hammy. But that really originally was started for Esau. Verse 7, how much she hath gloried, Salakia, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. And that's the pride of these fucking devils. When you go into Isaiah chapter 47, it say, come sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. And the virgin daughter of Babylon is AKA America, AKA Babylon the Great. Because this place has never been basically, you know, it was war on this land when you had the North versus the South, Esau against Esau. But this place has never had a major war against another nation. You know, you had the situation with Great Britain and America, but there was the same people. So go back to what I'm saying. You know? They go back to that scripture in Ecclesiasticus as well. Who could be good to himself, or who could be good that's not good to himself, roughly paraphrase. Y'all do your own people like this. What do Jake think they got coming? Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord the Most High who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. And that's going into when this place is hit with all those ICBMs. Because the merchants ain't gonna be able to make no more money over it. You got to understand, this place, America, is a consuming nation. This was like an experiment. The elites make a lot of money off America. America doesn't even produce anything like it once did. So we're not a factor like certain other countries. That's why you literally got other countries like Russia and China that could literally be like, okay, we got to go do our own thing. Because you got like I said, like the bread basket of the world is over there with Russia, just like with the natural gas. You know what I mean? China's producing everything, they creating and manufacturing everything. So all America really doing is consuming. I'm gonna skip to verse 21. I'm gonna skip to verse 19. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, the great city wherein were made Salaki. Alas, alas, the great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Because this place, through the scriptures that you just seen me read, it talks about basically when them ICBMs hit this place, they're gonna basically destroy this place in 1 hour. You know, and then people say it's far-fetched or don't really consider, but then when you think about it, Salaki, you look at some of the ICBMs that Putin and Russia display and how they can reach America within 30 minutes, 25 minutes. Well, then when you got other countries that have this same technology, you know, why wouldn't it make sense that this place can be destroyed within an hour? Verse 20, rejoice over her, though heaven and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh, the Most High, have avenged you on her. Verse 21, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. And it's scriptures that go into how, you know, well, I could just, 2 Timothy chapter 3 talks about in the last days shall be perilous times. Because you're going to have people try to survive. You know, this inflation is not going nowhere. Trust and believe that. And then when it's harder for people to live throughout history, harder times bring more violence. Flat out. The strong take from the weak. It's always been like that. That's nature. You know what I mean? So, I'm going to end the lesson right there. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I just, you know, spiritually, I saw that's a division. And although it ain't a big rift where, you know, you ain't got no sedition or seceding. But then again, though, when you go into it, though, like Texas has been known, just like that movie Bushwick with Batista. You know, if you actually watch that movie and understand the movie, the reason why it was going on and you had them soldiers and whatnot is because basically Texas seceded from the federal government. And, you know, when you go in and actually research it, you come to find out Texas is the only state with its own power grid that's not hooked up to the nation's power grid. And there's been many statements that Texas talk about seceding. So with that being said, you know, if you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, to the statutes, and to the commandments of your power, who true name in the Paleo-Hebrew is Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh meaning he is or he exists. Ba Hashem means in the name. Yahweh Shai means he saves or he is the deliverer. And with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Loyim La Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Hashem Rachak, Kodash Rakatham. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwath, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson. Shalom, shalom. And Mawath Lababah. Shalom.